professional, also a perfect record. 35 fights, 35 victories, including 32 wins by knockout, including 22 consecutive KOs, and he has KO'd every opponent he's faced over the last 8 years. This Olympic medalist from Karaganda, Kazakhstan, is the reigning, defending, undefeated, universally recognized true middleweight champion of the world, Gennady Golovkin,
John Jones is a bad guy. That guy, if we were living 1,000 years ago, he would be on a horse with the biggest battle axe, waiting in the back, hacking heads off, and everybody would be running. And those people have always existed. These dominators have always existed.
So I just want to talk about some more rubbish because a lot of people think like Russia and China invest more in this country than Western allies like the US and the EU, which is just baloney. Job creation and fixed investments from Western allies, like those figures dwarf the stats coming out of Russia and China. We need to look and investigate the energy policy from Beijing and Moscow, and not look at like stuff from like, you know, the Netherlands and shit with all their rusted kind of wind turbines. I want to look into the relationship between Elon Musk and President Ramaphosa. I want to investigate an autocratic model within South Africa, like one in Russia. I also want to look at the SACP today versus then, and just give my honest opinion on that. I think, and this is my opinion, President Ramaphosa has a unique skill set with a political history that primes him as sentinel of the moment and the continent. His understanding of world markets, trade and policy, coupled with his understanding of the urbanizing voter base, makes him a valid and valued ally, as well as a formidable adversary in both local and international playing fields. President Ramaphosa is a master tactician and negotiator, and there's many examples that you can research up on that. I think President Ramaphosa, as chief on matters of state and policy, as well as former President Mbeki serving as an advisor on matters of trade and economics, make the ANC a powerhouse that Madiba would be proud to call his forever home. I think what isn't reported is an incredibly peaceful transition of power at our last elections, which has now been proven to be due to the ANC, which saw a massive watershed moment both within the party and for the history of the country, where we see the ANC going, okay, look, we accept we didn't do as well as we hoped, but what we are not going to allow is for this country to descend into chaos and unrest, like some other unsavory elements, and it really what they wished, and it really makes you question as to who were the proponents of the civil unrest and looting scandal that saw Durban up in smoke and the world up in arms. Definitely food for thought. It also definitely goes unsaid how integral the executive branch of the ANC and DA were at obviously facilitating both the transition to the GNU but also the inception. And I think a lot of people were surprised at this partnership. I think it's important to focus on common ground in terms of any possible alliance between the ANC and the DA, or just in general, lines need to be drawn in the sand, and the shining line should always be the betterment of the country for its citizens. I think a GNU that sees the ANC and DA working hand in hand is something the country and culture will get behind, but the whole world for sure. It's time we make our own history by ourselves without any aid or interference. I fully believe that this can be accomplished, so I also want to look into like the ANC and the SACP relationship and history, the SACP core value and beliefs, as well as the ANC core value beliefs, and for both of them then and now. And I just think like it's important for people to understand that criticism was made to build, and it was not built to destroy. I just think, with that being said, United Nations is a joke. There are not enough African and Eastern members within the United Nations. United Nations are basically a whitewashing shower body rubber-dub-dub to allow their homies to get away with all the homies' crime. provided if they split the loot, of course. And man, the way these people behave, you don't know what the loot is. Dodo pelts or doo-doo, you decide. And I think a good partner for us to kind of work on is India. I think they are integral in terms of hardware, software, and information. I think they would be good partners to have. We should be looking at joining forces to develop technology with our Eastern allies. India is also a really great place for South African companies to find cost-effective, highly skilled individuals that will upskill the local populace at a rapid rate, as the studies of their own younger generations serve as testaments. And I also want to talk about, like, at a later stage, Operation Vulindlela and Cyril Ramaphosa, along with the National Treasury, and how they stimulate structural reforms and economic change within South Africa. I also want to bring some of my own creative Transnet solutions designed to alleviate bottlenecks at our ports and stimulate express shipping to and from South Africa. And I also want to talk about an underfunded government having to mediate electricity increases, which obviously, like, you know, they have to, like, kind of like pay and scale and play like supreme judge as to should we choose to lower these electricity increases that people can't afford anyway, or should we like forego essential services like healthcare and education. And I also want to talk about how we can maybe like work on free education, full stop, and how we can possibly make that happen, you know. This is Mission Impossible, and this, as you all know about the Mission Impossible movie series, there's like fucking 8 of them, you know, so no mission is impossible.